first one we got in. Got a little bit of body work left to do on it. The rest of those ribs look pretty straight. We'll finish that up tomorrow. Stay tuned. As you saw in a previous video, we had to weld up some holes and he wanted everything smoothed out. So this morning we welded up the seam that goes from here all the way down, ground it down, and now we're smoothing it out. And then we're gonna have to move up there. We got some fiberglass work up there. I have to cut that, all that rust out and put a new piece in. Some fiberglass up in there. Kevin here from Harrington Classic Car Restorations in Asheboro, North Carolina. We have the old panel cut off on the 59 Apache truck. We have a new one right there. Before we do that, we have to get this pin here that was welded on pried away from that rocker panel, because it's pretty far away from there, but it's touching over here and it's got a good gap over there. So we'll see what happens. And that's exactly where the new panel goes, so we got to figure something out with that. Stay tuned. That's how far that panel is away from the old panel. It does need to go a little bit more on the edges here. But this one's touching. This one over here is not just yet. It could be because it's hitting inside there. Got to roll that lip a little bit. But I have to leave that nasty weld because that's where that thing fits really good. So I got to leave that and clean it up somehow. And when I start welding, I'm actually going to take my nail gun and I'm going to pull this out as I tack it into place to get this level with that. Because that panel doesn't get any straighter than that. So that's what we're going to do. I'll show you in a little bit. Stay tuned. We have done the body work to all the edges. There was that seam that was in there. We got all the spot welds out of the edges. There was a crack there that we had to fix. There was a crack there that we had to fix. And we got rid of all of them spot welds also. So we'll get some epoxy on it and maybe some primer. Stay tuned. Here's the 59 Apache door that I have to put back on. Now, as you can see, it has the 3 indents in it. At least it does now. Because this indent here, which I got to do a little bit of body work there, there was nothing there. This was gone, and this one wasn't even there. So I took this piece out of another door here, welded it in and ground it. So now it has all 3 of them as opposed to 1.5 of them. And we're cutting this door so we can hammer and dolly that piece out because it was in pretty far. And we're going to see if we have to do the same thing to there. So we're actually going to start here and work our way out to make sure that piece is now flat. And we also got a little bit of body work done. We got to fine tune some spots here, but we want to make sure this part of the door is fine first before we finish up. We also filled the seam in up there, and we filled the seams in there. And that in there is ready for primer. So stay tuned for more. We got the fenders all epoxied today, after you guys saw that we put patches down on the bottom. So now we got them in a black epoxy. We'll start body working on those next week, and then we'll start on that firewall. Stay tuned. All the body work is done, sanded with 120, ready for primer. And we also finished welding up some holes in the firewall of this one. We'll sand that down and fiberglass the bare metal spots in case there's another pinhole, and then we will start doing body work on that. Tomorrow I will also do the body work on that fender. Stay tuned. This is what you get when it's just filled in and you want it done quick. Not professionally, but quick. So that's quick. Just fill it up with all metal or whatever that is and go right over rotted metal anyway. You get it done fast that way, but it won't be good. Hey everybody, Kevin here from Harrington Classic Car Restorations in Asheboro, North Carolina. Hope everybody's having a good day. Working on the 59 Apache fleet side bedside. We're putting this patch in because there's some rust in here. So what I'm going to do is I already cut this piece here, and I'm going to cut across here, cut up here, and cut across that way. And I cut both panels to make sure the rust is out. A nice solid piece of metal to work with. It's already bent to where I need to on that curve. So, and we use the cling spore, these here, because those things last a very, very long time. They cut really nice. So let's make sure you have eye protection, ear protection. Let's get this thing cut out. So as you can see, I cut it out, and we have a pretty good, actually it's a pretty nice patch. Fits in there really nice. Get a pretty good gap all the way around to fill it in. You can always go back here and hammer and dolly if you have to, make sure it's even better. Now, usually when you're working on somebody's previous work, you kind of get stuff like this. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. I'll give you a different view in a minute. But there's already a piece of metal already in there, so now we have to cut that piece out and fix that also. So stay tuned. So here's that old piece of metal that had the rust in it that we just cut out. And when you take this off, you could see somebody else's work in there. So now, not only do I have to fix this rust out here, I got to fix this too. And these are the things that you find When you're restoring one of your old cars or trucks, if somebody's already worked on it previously, you find surprises like that. But before I do that, here I'll show you. Here's the patch. This is what I cut out at the same time as the other, and that's about how it fits, just like that. So now you have a nice gap all the way around to fill in with your weld, and that's why I do it that way. So stay tuned.